forget. Since it was raining today, I'm thinking about my favorite poem, so I thought I'd read it to you. Here it is. The Red Wheelbarrow. So much depends upon a red wheelbarrow glazed with rainwater beside the white chickens. Yeah? Red? Yeah. William Carlos Williams. Can't you see that out there? A red wheelbarrow, water, hungry chickens. It's all right there. Can we read it again?
Sure.
All right, listen carefully. So much depends upon a red wheelbarrow glazed with rainwater beside the white chickens. So much depends upon.
Why? Why would you depend on a red wheelbarrow?
You just think about that. Sorry, that's one of my favorite poems.
You didn't even finish it.
That's it. That's the poem.
This is crazy.
Now, in addition to that poem, I'm thinking about another poem that's one of my favorites called Forgetfulness. And I think one of the reasons I like this poem is because it's so much about what it's like to come in here and try to talk about the same thing for 27 years in a row and get the names and the pages right. But believe it or not, I still know what's on page 217 of the textbook. This is a poem by Billy Collins. Billy Collins is a poet laureate. I think I told you about him. We rode in the elevator with him once. He's short and bald. He's no longer poet laureate, but at that time he was. It was at the Library of Congress. We were there one summer. And he wrote this poem called Forgetfulness. It goes like this. The name of the author is the first to go, followed obediently by the title, the plot, the heartbreaking conclusion, the entire novel, which suddenly becomes one that you have never read, never even heard of. As if, one by one, the memories you used to harbor decided to retire to the southern hemisphere of your brain, to a little fishing village where there are no phones. Long ago, you kissed the names of the 9 muses goodbye and watched the quadratic equation pack its bag. And even now, as you memorize the order of the planets, something else is slipping away. A state flower, perhaps, the address of an uncle, the capital of Paraguay. Whatever it is you're struggling to remember is not poised on the tip of your tongue, not even lurking in some obscure corner of your spleen. It has floated away down a dark mythological river whose name begins with an L as far as you can recall. Well, on your way to oblivion, where you will join those who have forgotten how to swim and how to ride a bicycle. No wonder you rise in the middle of the night to look up the date of a famous battle in a book on war. No wonder the moon in the window seems to have drifted out of a love poem that you used to know by heart. Forgetfulness.
Nothing to do with forgetting. Oh, you forgot how to swim, forgot how to ride the bike. That's just a good thing.
All right, I have 2 more poems, and then we'll stop.
Just finish out.
This is one called Hay for Horses. Now, Hay for Horses is by a guy named Gary Snyder. Today's Gary Snyder's birthday, which is what made me think about Gary Snyder. This is a poem he wrote about working one summer for a farmer. Hay for Horses. He had driven half the night from far down San Joaquin through Mariposa, up on those dangerous mountain roads, and pulled in at 8 a.m. with his big truckload of hay behind the barn. With winch and ropes and hooks, we stacked the bales up clean to the splintery red wood rafters, high in the dark, flecks of alfalfa whirling through the shingle cracks of light, itch of hay dust in the sweaty shirt and shoes. At lunchtime, under black oak, out in the hot corral, the old mare nosing lunch pails, grasshoppers crackling in the weeds. I'm 68, he said. I first bucked hay when I was 17. I thought, that day I started, I sure would hate to do this all my life. And damn it, that's just what I've gone and done. So, that's kind of obvious how that connects to what I'm doing here. But it's really,
It was supposed to be called English is for English speakers.
it's English for non-English speakers, right? It's kind of a poem about being careful what you get good at, because you may end up doing it. Here's one more poem that has the same sort of sentiment, and then we'll stop. This is by Joe Carson. Joe Carson is deaf in one ear and can't hear out of the other. So when she gets in line at Mark's, she turns up her hearing aid so she can eavesdrop on the people around her, and then she writes down what she hears and calls them poems. So this is something that she heard a mother say to her daughter. The day I married, my mother had one piece of wedding advice. Don't make good potato salad, she told me. It's too hard to make, and you'll have to take something every time you get invited somewhere. Just cook up beans. People eat them too. My mother was good at potato salad. Part of the memories of my childhood have to do with endless batches made for family get-togethers, church picnics, civitan suppers, democratic fundraisers, whatever event called for potato salad. I'd peel the hard-boiled eggs. My mother would pack her big red plastic picnic bowl high with yellow potato salad. She used mustard. And it would sit proud on endless tables and come home empty. What my mother might and could have said is, choose carefully what you get good at, because you'll spend the rest of your life doing it. But I didn't hear that. I was young and anxious to please, and I knew her potato salad secrets and 1,000 other duties given to daughters by mothers. And sometimes I envy those women who get by with pots of beans. So when I read that poem, I start thinking about you high-achieving, smart women out there. Because you know how women are so easily persuaded by compliments and praise, and when people say, nice job, way to go, good for you, I like your hair, that's a cute purse, and you smile, and then they ask you to do something dull and boring, and you'll do it because they say, nice hair, I like your shoes, and you keep smiling, and they keep asking you to do dull and boring things, and pretty soon you get really good, and eventually you look around, you've been doing it for 20-some years, and you go, why am I still doing this?
Is that how you feel?
And it's because maybe
You've been
you
right now.
decided that it was the compliments that people gave you about this thing that you could do that you're into it for it, not necessarily because it was in your heart. So I think she's saying to women in particular, be careful what you get good at. Some people get by with beans.
So do you not want to be a teacher?
No, I don't think that's necessarily true. I wanted to be a teacher, but I didn't just want to be a teacher. What I didn't know is how much of your life teaching takes. When you become a teacher, you can't just be a teacher 9 to 5 and go home and do something else. Teaching takes a whole bunch of time. So the farmer and the writer in me had to wait because I was busy grading bad essays.
Harvard.
All right, that's all I got.